TKO Executive Chairman Vince McMahon may be forced to step down due to ongoing federal government investigations. Details on that, plus Cristiano Ronaldo could be appearing at a WWE event in the future. We'll let you know which event that could be to see the football megastar crossover into the world of sports entertainment. Chris Jericho says that AEW is much better than it was a month ago. Details on why he thinks that is. Tony Khan says that Tony Storm is doing some of the best work in pro wrestling right now. Kurt Angle appears on the Joe Rogan Experience and opens up on his conversations he had with Vince McMahon about letting go of WWE in the past. Plus, Jake Hager announces he has retired from MMA. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off talking about Vince McMahon and the legal issues that really haven't gone anywhere despite all of the conversation surrounding the merger between WWE and UFC to form TKO Group Holdings. Now, it's been a wild year to say the least for Vince McMahon, WWE and its fans after McMahon was forced to step down from his role in the company last year due to the hush money scandal, only to force his way back in January of this year, and then agreed to be acquired by Endeavor and merge WWE with the UFC into the TKO Group Holdings company that was finalized last week. As I mentioned, the merger was completed despite the federal government investigations into payments made by McMahon in connection to the hush money scandal last summer that were not recorded in WWE's annual accounts. McMahon allegedly paid at least $14.6 million to several women, including former WWE employees, to keep them quiet about allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity since 2006. Another $5 million was also paid to the Donald Trump Foundation for Trump's appearances on television in 2007 and 2009. A search warrant was served and executed by the feds after a federal grand jury signed off on a subpoena to McMahon on July 17, although no charges have been filed against him just yet. Jacob Frenkel, the chair of Dickinson Wright's Government Investigations and Securities Enforcement Practice Group and a former senior counsel in the SEC's Division of Enforcement, told the LA Times that McMahon could face criminal or civil liabilities that may force him out of his WWE and TKO role. He said, quote, depending on the potential findings following the inquiry into Vince McMahon, McMahon could face criminal and or civil liabilities that could prevent him from serving as an officer or director of a public company, end quote. Ignacy Lahoud, a former WWE board member, resigned when Vince McMahon forcefully returned to the company this past January. He was quoted in the article by saying, quote, it wasn't aligned with my way of seeing what governance is, and there was a misalignment with what my values are, end quote. Lahoud added by saying, quote, he said, okay, do whatever you guys need to do. I'm not going to stand in your way. Of course, when the board said, well, we think you need to step down, he wasn't happy about it, but he did it. Someone close to one of the outed directors also said that McMahon viewed its investigation as an act of disloyalty despite knowing the board was just trying to do their job at the time. Now again, this is a developing story and this isn't actually genuinely, I guess, new news in the sense of these investigations and these rumblings of legal issues have been ongoing for a while. In fact, when Vince McMahon forced his way back into his own company earlier on this year, it was unanimously rejected by the board of directors who cited the ongoing government and federal investigations into McMahon and WWE at the time. So what are your thoughts about this story? Do you think it's just a case of shining more light on these allegations, on these investigations? Do you think the investigations will go anywhere? Do you think that this will become a bigger story later on in the year? Let me know your thoughts, as always, about this in the comments section below. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo to WWE. This isn't a transfer that Fabrizio Romano is going to be talking that much about, but it could indeed be happening, at least for a one-off event. WWE is reportedly working on a deal for the football megastar Cristiano Ronaldo to appear at an upcoming show. This year's crown jewel event is scheduled for November 4 as WWE returns to Saudi Arabia for the second time in this year. Saudi Arabia, of course, is now the footballing home of Cristiano Ronaldo, who plays for Al Nassr, alongside other recognisable names such as Aymeric Laporte, Sadio Mane, and others. Of course, it's been a cultural revolution and footballing revolution in the country this past summer with gigantic names such as Neymar, Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, and others, all switching for Saudi clubs. Spanish outlet AS first reported, and many mainstream newspapers here in the UK have picked it up as well, that WWE is, quote, working to secure an appearance for Cristiano Cristiano Ronaldo at Crown Jewel. Naturally, Ronaldo would be paid a large appearance fee if it does end up indeed happening. Cristiano Ronaldo is the highest paid football player on the planet, so it would cost quite a lot. But certainly, given the fact that Al Nassr are owned by the Saudi PIF, the same Saudi PIF that WWE has an agreement with to run these events, indeed, it could happen and they could facilitate a deal, certainly. Fightful Sean Ross Sapp, obviously a more recognizable reporter to wrestling fans, tweeted, quote, "I've asked WWE about the rumors of Cristiano Ronaldo WWE appearances and they didn't have an answer." Now, back in December 2022, Apollo Crews spoke to Metro about whether Ronaldo would make it as a WWE star. He said, quote, "Honestly, with that mentality to be a top athlete in the world on that level, I just think on the mentality alone, he would have done okay. When you start the physical part, that's a different story, though, for most people. But again, he's a world-class athlete, so I wouldn't put it past him." Now, Ronaldo isn't the only big star scheduled for the event. John Cena is currently being advertised for Crown Jewel, which would be his first WWE appearance in Saudi Arabia since April 2018. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, and more importantly, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, is also reportedly planned for a match at the event in Saudi Arabia later this year. Of course, we get any more details about CR7 possibly coming to WWE television soon, we'll let you know. Now, Chris Jericho had said something quite curious because the first ever AEW World Champion Chris Jericho has stated his belief that AEW is a better company now than it was just a month ago. During an appearance on Busted Open Radio, Jericho was asked whether AEW was a better company now than a month prior, to which he curiously answered, quote, yes, absolutely. Jericho then discussed his relationship with Tony Khan and stated that he is one of many veteran stars who are intent on seeing this company grow, also mentioning Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley among that same group. Jericho explained, quote, "The short answer is yes. There's also other people that are higher up in the company. We're working together to suggest, and the thing with AEW is we grew so fast. Look at our company now. Look at the infrastructure. I was reading WWE layoffs the other day, and there's people, I'm like, what is this position? I don't even know what this means. WWE has such a huge infrastructure. We do not. We need to grow that. But who's the right people? We've got to identify the place where we need a little bit of growth and go from there." Tony is very organized and Tony's very passionate. But once again, here we are 4 years in. There's a lot of stuff that none of us know. We've never ran our own company before, but we've learned a lot from Vince. Tony's Tony. Vince was Vince. You have to work within the boss's system. It all rests on what Tony wants to do. What Tony Khan wants to do is continue to grow AEW. That's what Chris Jericho wants to do. That's what Bryan Danielson wants to do. That's what Jon Moxley wants to do. So we're all working together to patch up maybe some of the holes and continue to build this wall higher and higher and higher. To me, to see that growth so quickly is a little bit scary. We're now figuring out what we need to do to continue to grow. Of course, while AEW's growth is evident through the landmark AEW All-In London event and its ticket sales, the company has recently seen one of their biggest homegrown stars in Jade Cargill exit the door. In addition to that, AEW is struggling somewhat in recent weeks and months to sell tickets domestically. Tonight, it has been reported that over 8,000 fans have paid to watch AEW Dynamite Grand Slam and AEW Rampage Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Of course, that is down significantly from the first 2 years. So do you agree with what Chris Jericho is saying there? Is AEW a better company than it was a month prior? And if indeed Jericho is right, why do you think that is? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Now, one of the highlights of AEW television over recent months has been Toni Storm's character change from her previous Outcast faction member into a Hollywood starlet reminiscent of the 1940s or 50s. AEW, of course, is set to hold its Grand Slam special episode of Dynamite from Arthur Ashe Stadium today, featuring 4 big championship matches. One of the matches will see Saraya defend her AEW Women's World Championship against Outcast stablemate Toni Storm. Toni has been undergoing a character shift since losing the Women's World title to Hikaru Shida on AEW Dynamite 200 in August, with her quickly becoming one of the most popular acts on the show. During an appearance on Superstar Crossover, Tony Khan was asked about Toni's current work, with him believing that she is doing some of the best work in all of pro wrestling. He said, quote, "I think Toni Storm is doing some of the best work in all of pro wrestling right now. She's a former Women's World Champion 2 times. She's had a great partnership with Saraya, and really we saw Saraya just have this beautiful moment at Wembley Stadium." I thought it was really cool to have somebody who is one of the biggest stars in England have that great moment, winning the world title in front of her family, having all of her family and friends there at ringside to cheer her on. I think Toni Storm was already hanging on by a very thin thread emotionally, and we've seen it be very compelling. You know, I agree with you. Highly entertaining in recent weeks, the way Toni Storm has been losing her mind, and personally, I really enjoy working with Toni Storm. I think she's a great talent, and I think we're onto something really special with Toni Storm right now. Do you agree with what Tony Khan had to say? Is this some of the best work in pro wrestling right now? Now, a lot of people today have been watching Kurt Angle on the Joe Rogan Experience, and WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle has claimed that Vince McMahon once told him that he never intends to let go of the WWE, wanting to run the company until he turns 120 years old. Angle, as I mentioned, recently appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience discussing a range of topics, including his former boss Vince McMahon and the current merger of WWE and the UFC. When discussing McMahon, Angle recalled a conversation he had with him shortly after he returned to the company, where the 78-year-old stated his unwillingness to yield as WWE's figurehead, not even after he passes a century in age. Angle said, quote, "When I came back to WWE, he said, I'm going to have this company for a lot longer than you think, Mr. Angle. I'm 73 right now. My mother lived to be 101. I'm planning on living until I'm 120. He said, I'm never letting the company go. I'm always going to be working here. They're going to have to pull it from my cold, pry it from my cold, dead hands." Now, with McMahon, now executive chairman of TKO Group Holdings, there seems to be little stopping him from achieving his goal, particularly after already retiring from WWE in mid-2022 following the investigation of allegations of sexual misconduct made against him, only to return in early 2023. With McMahon running the WWE side of TKO and all staff and talent beneath him, some new information has been revealed regarding his role in a recent employee meeting, one that followed over 100 employee layoffs from the company on September 15. We went into that in more detail earlier today, so be sure to check that out. But Vince McMahon did refer to Ari Emanuel as his boss. Vince working for someone? How long can that last? Let me know your thoughts about that. Finally, Jake Hager says he has retired from mixed martial arts. AEW star Jake Hager has been a part of All Elite Wrestling since the first episode of Dynamite back in October 2019. Prior to his AEW debut, Hager signed with Bellator following his WWE release in 2017, where he held a 3-0 record, with one being a no contest during his MMA career. Hager's MMA influence infiltrated AEW Dynamite when he and Wardlow took part in an MMA fight on June 18, 2021 as part of the Inner Circle's feud with The Pinnacle. However, Hager's days in MMA are seemingly done, as he spoke on the KNS WrestleFest signing, claiming that he was retired from MMA after being jerked off by Bellator. He said, quote, "Officially, I'm retired from MMA. I trained hard last year, but Bellator was jerking me off, so I retired, and I'm focusing on wrestling now." Hager, along with Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Anna Jay, recently left the Jericho Appreciation Society, though they remain together on television. So there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.